Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. And today we're going to be looking at Asif Osman.
Okay.
Our listener wrote in and sent us Asif's LinkedIn and Twitter, and also some information on Nukta Loyalty, which is a company that he founded.
All right.
And looking at all this material, I got to say, his career path is all over the place.
Yeah, it is pretty diverse.
Yeah, he's got experience in travel and loyalty marketing and soft skills training.
Uh-huh.
It's like, how does he all connect?
Well, yeah, that's the question, right? I
Yeah.
mean, on the surface, you see this travel management at this company, SNTA,
Right.
and then commercial development for Air Miles, and even a CCO role at a fintech startup.
Right. It doesn't seem like a very linear path.
No, not at all.
No. And then I noticed on his LinkedIn, he has this motto,
Oh, yeah.
out inveniam viam aut faciam, which I had to look up means I shall either find a way or make one.
Wow, that's pretty bold.
I know, right?
It's a statement?
Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe that's how all these like totally random experiences connect.
Yeah, maybe like he just sees what he wants and just finds a way to get it,
Right.
which is very Rubin.
Okay, so let's start with those 15 years he spent at SNTA,
Okay.
which, like you said, is this huge name in travel and tourism.
Yeah.
He wasn't just like booking flights or something.
Oh, no.
He was the Dubai office manager.
Wow.
Like he was handling a huge team at a multi-million-dollar turnover.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine the leadership challenges he must have faced there?
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, travel is such a demanding industry. You have to think on your feet and solve problems constantly, like flight delays or lost luggage or, difficult clients.
Right.
And you got to keep your team motivated and make sure you're hitting those revenue targets.
Yeah, that sounds super stressful.
Oh, absolutely.
Like a pressure cooker.
Totally.
And it's not even just logistics, right?
Right.
You got to understand people.
Yes.
Like what they need, what they want.
Exactly. Anticipate their needs, tailor those experiences. Maybe that's where his interest in loyalty marketing came from.
Oh, that's a good point.
Like creating those positive, lasting impressions. That's what makes people come back for more.
That's true in travel and in loyalty programs.
Exactly.
Okay, so then he moves on to Air Miles Middle East,
Right.
and he spends 7 years leading commercial development.
Okay, so now we're talking a whole different ballgame.
Totally.
He goes from managing travel logistics to, the complexities of loyalty programs.
Yeah, it's a big jump.
Yeah, huge.
At Air Miles, he's not just dealing with one customer at a time.
No.
It's about the big picture.
Right. He's got to think about the whole Middle East region.
Right? He's responsible for growing this program, making it profitable.
I bet that was a steep learning curve.
Definitely. And a lot of responsibility.
For sure.
So I'm imagining he was like really deep in the data at this point.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Analyzing customer behavior, figuring out partnerships,
Uh-huh.
always looking for ways to make the program better.
And he was probably becoming an expert in how these programs actually work.
Right, like all those behind-the-scenes things.
Yeah, the reward structures, point systems, partnerships, all of that.
Okay, so now we have the travel experience and a deep dive into the world of loyalty programs.
Right.
But then things take a turn.
Okay, where do we go from here?
Paytabs,
Oh, wow.
fintech startup,
Interesting.
funded by Aramco, no less.
That's impressive.
They know, right?
So what was his role?
Chief Commercial Officer.
Huh. So he wasn't brought in for his fintech knowledge.
Nope.
They needed someone to build their commercial side.
Exactly.
Hiring, legal setup, everything.
He was basically creating a market for their product.
That's a tall order.
It is, and I think this is where that find a way or make one attitude really comes in.
Oh, I see it.
Like he had to adapt quickly, learn on the fly, and just thrive in that crazy startup environment.
That's wild.
It is, and it seems so different from what he was doing before.
Yeah, at first glance.
But there are connections, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about it. Fintech relies on building trust and loyalty with users,
You're right.
just like in travel.
It's all about understanding people, building those relationships.
Yeah, I think his ability to adapt, learn new things, and apply his knowledge in different situations, that's what made him so valuable at Paytabs.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And, working at a startup probably gave him a lot of insight into the challenges that small businesses face.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Which is interesting because that seems to be the focus of Nukta Loyalty.
Right. He's taking everything he's learned and using it to help those smaller companies.
The customer focus from travel,
Mm-hmm.
the loyalty program expertise from Air Miles,
Right.
and that startup agility from Paytabs.
It all comes together.
Yeah, it really does.
It's like he was meant to end up here.
It makes you wonder how all those experiences shaped his approach.
Yeah. How does he use all that to help small businesses with their loyalty marketing?
That's the question.
I think maybe his Twitter could give us some clues.
Oh, you mean that quote he shared from Peter Drucker?
Yes, the one about the purpose of business.
Yeah, let's dive into that after a quick break. That quote from Peter Drucker,
Yeah.
the one about the purpose of business being to create a customer,
Mm-hmm.
really gets you thinking.
It does. He's basically saying that the only essential functions of business are marketing and innovation.
Right.
Because without customers, there's no business.
Yeah. It's so simple, but it makes so much sense.
Right.
And it feels like that's the theme of Asif's career.
I think you're right. I mean, look at his experience.
Okay.
In travel, he was always trying to create those positive customer experiences.
Uh-huh.
With loyalty programs, he's incentivizing repeat business and building those relationships. And even at PayTabs, he had to convince merchants to use this new payment solution.
So it's always about the customer.
Exactly. And I think that's key to understanding how he approaches loyalty marketing.
Especially for small businesses.
Right, because big companies have tons of resources for attracting and keeping customers.
But small businesses have to be more strategic?
They do. They need to make every interaction count.
And that's where I think that travel management experience comes in.
Oh, yeah.
He knows how important those small details are.
Those personal touches that can make a difference.
Exactly. It's not just about giving rewards.
No, it's about making people feel valued.
Like they're part of something.
Exactly. A sense of connection.
Okay, but how much of what he learned at Air Miles can he really apply to working with small businesses?
Well, that's a good question.
Right, because loyalty programs for like airlines are completely different than for a local coffee shop or something.
They are in terms of scale,
Uh-huh.
but the basic principles are the same.
Okay.
You need to know what your customers value,
Right.
what motivates them, and how to reward them in a way that makes sense.
And that's where the data analysis comes in.
Exactly. He can use that to understand customer behavior.
And design programs that actually work.
Right. So he's not just coming up with ideas,
He's bringing that data-driven approach.
which is what makes Knuckle Loyalty different.
Yeah, it's not just a platform.
Right. It's about helping small businesses use data to create personalized experiences.
To build that loyalty.
Exactly. And don't forget the PayTabs experience.
Right.
Starting a business from scratch gives you a whole new perspective.
Yeah, he's been there.
He knows what it's like to hustle to make every dollar count.
And that's probably why he's so passionate about helping these businesses succeed.
Yeah, he's not just selling something, he's sharing his knowledge and experience.
It's almost like the soft skills training is a natural next step.
It is, if you think about it. What good is a loyalty program if you don't have the skills to implement it?
Right, good point.
So you need those communication and leadership skills.
Okay, so tell me more about these training workshops.
Well, I think his diverse background is a huge asset.
Okay.
He's not just teaching theory,
Yeah.
he's using real-world examples.
From all these different industries.
Exactly, so he can show people how these concepts actually work in practice.
Like communication, leadership, customer service.
All that.
It's not just abstract ideas.
Nope.
I remember that testimonial from Imdad Ahmed.
Oh, yeah.
He said Asif's methods were exciting and challenging.
Which makes me think it's very hands-on.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe even games or simulations.
It sounds fun.
I bet it is.
So it's a safe space to experiment and learn.
Exactly.
Okay, there's one last thing we haven't talked about
Look
yet.
at that.
That Twitter post, How to Survive as a Saatchi & Saatchi Suit.
Ah, yes. What do you make of that?
I think it shows us his advertising mindset.
Which is relevant to both his loyalty marketing and training work.
Totally. It's like a set of principles for thriving in a high-pressure environment.
And some of those principles, like collaboration and thinking big, could apply to any business, really.
Okay, so let's unpack those and see how they connect to Nukta Loyalty and his training. All right, so those Saatchi & Saatchi survival tips, like I have to say some of them really stood out to me.
Yeah.
Especially that first one. Nothing is impossible.
It's a powerful statement, for
Yeah.
sure.
It is. It's like saying you can do anything if you set your mind to it.
And that kind of mindset is super important for entrepreneurs.
Oh, definitely.
Or anyone in a creative field.
Yeah, you need that belief to overcome challenges and make those big ideas happen.
Right. And speaking of big ideas,
His next point is think big.
yeah, don't settle for average, aim for extraordinary.
It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and forget about the big picture.
It is. We can get so focused on those small improvements.
And he doesn't stop there.
No.
He also says a big task is rarely accomplished with a little ad.
Meaning you got to be willing to invest in your ideas.
Right. Go all in on the strategies that can really make a difference.
Yeah.
So how does this think big mentality connect to Asif's work with Nukta Loyalty and his training?
Well, for loyalty marketing, it could mean encouraging small businesses to get creative,
Okay.
to think beyond those traditional rewards programs.
Like what kind of things?
Well, maybe it's about building a community, partnering with local charities, or finding unique ways to personalize the customer experience.
So it's about making a real connection with customers.
Exactly, those emotional connections.
And for training?
I think it means helping people set ambitious goals
Uh-huh.
to push themselves outside of their comfort zones.
And believe they can achieve great things.
Right, that growth mindset.
Embrace those challenges.
Exactly. See them as opportunities.
Okay, what else stood out to you from those survival tips?
Well, he talks a lot about collaboration.
Oh, yeah. He says advertising is a collective process. Use we and avoid I.
Which is so true. The best ideas usually come from working together.
Right. It's about bringing different perspectives and skills to the table.
Exactly, the power of teamwork.
So for loyalty marketing, this could mean encouraging small businesses to collaborate with each other.
Oh, that's interesting.
Maybe even create a shared loyalty program for their community.
That's a great idea.
Right.
Like a network of businesses.
And for training,
It means creating that collaborative learning environment.
where everyone feels comfortable sharing their ideas.
Yeah, and learning from each other's mistakes.
And speaking of mistakes,
Oh, yes.
he says, admit our mistakes, learn from them, and move on.
Which is such an important lesson.
It is, especially in today's world where everything is changing so fast.
Right, you got to be able to adapt and learn from those setbacks.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Asif Osman, what's the biggest takeaway for our listener?
Well, I think what's most impressive is how he's combined all these different experiences.
Yeah, he's taken what he's learned from travel loyalty programs, startups, advertising.
And used it to create something new and impactful.
It's like he has this unique set of skills.
He does, and I think the lesson here is don't be afraid to embrace your own unique skills and experiences.
Right. You never know how they might connect in the future.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe you'll be the subject of a future deep dive.
That's a great point. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
My pleasure. It was fascinating.